Hi, I'm Jill Goldsmith, Chatham Town Manager, and thank you for joining us for the 2021 Annual Town Meeting Preview Show. We will review each article in detail and note recommendations from town boards and committees to help you make informed decisions at the annual town meeting on Saturday, June 12th. We've changed the format of this show to review articles thematically versus the order in which they appear on the warrant. However, you will receive a warrant booklet by mail and also available on the town's website, as that is the official agenda and ordering of the articles. Because we remain under COVID protocols, town meeting will be held again outdoors at Veterans Field beginning at 12 noon on Saturday, June 12th, and our town election at the Community Center has also been deferred to Thursday, June 17th. Today's segment will focus on an incredibly valuable resource, our drinking water. I'll be joined by Chatham Finance Director Alex Halila, our Director of Natural Resources, Dr. Bob Duncanson, and our Director of Public Works, Tom Temple. They will provide background and insight into Article 12 and Articles 23 through 27. Here's Alex Halila to start us off.
Hi, Jill. Thank you very much. Article 12 is the Water Department operating budget for fiscal year 2022. As previously noted, we vote the water budget separate from the town operating budget as the water department is funded through water rates. For FY 2022, the water operating budget is a total of $3,581,052, again, funded primarily through water rates with a $400,000 contribution from the tax rate, which is for water that is used by the town for water hydrants, etc. The overall budget shows an 8.14% increase over the current fiscal year. Much of that has to do with the contracted services as we contract out for our water operations. There are a few town employees that are charged to the water department, or a portion of their salary is charged to the water department. Again, a total of $3,581,052 for the water operating budget for FY 2022. And the select board voted to approve this recommendation of 5 to approve, 0 opposed. And the finance committee also voted 8 in favor and 0 opposed.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Duncanson, your Director of Health and Natural Resources, and I'm going to be speaking today to Article number 23 and 24. Article number 23 is a capital wastewater project expansion and borrowing article. The article seeks $7 million to continue the implementation of the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan. This plan, which was completed in 2009, and we started implementation of the plan in 2010. The first components of it were construction of a new wastewater treatment facility next to the town transfer station that was completed and it went online in 2012. Also in 2010, we started expansion of the sewer system along Route 28 as well as into adjacent neighborhoods. And we've been conducting increased expansion of the wastewater collection system pretty much every year since 2009. The article this year is composed of a couple of different components, the largest of which is an upgrade of the existing Queen Anne pump station. The Queen Anne pump station is that small green structure that you see when you pull into the parking lot of the Chatham Village Market CVS. It's off in the corner and was part of the original sewer system that was constructed back in 1969, 1970 era. So obviously that plant is now close to, that pump station is now close to 50 years old and needs to be upgraded just because of its age and advances in technology that have been taking place, but also because as we expand the sewer system, we want to bring additional flow into that plant from other locations around town as we expand the sewer system. And so we need to upgrade that station, new electrical system, new pump controls, new emergency generator, as well as new SCADA technology, which is what we use to monitor all the pump stations in town, come in through the wastewater treatment plant, and the staff there has 24-hour monitoring capability of how a station is operating, whether there are any alarms, as well as the fact they can make adjustments to the pump station remotely. So it's important that we upgrade that station for those variety of reasons. The funds also seek additional funds to add 2 new pump stations, one potentially in the Ellis Smith Street neighborhood and one in the Independence Lane neighborhood, as well as an additional pump station in the Pondview Lane and Woodcarver Knoll neighborhoods. We're working on designs of those pump stations currently. We haven't finalized them yet, but we wanted to make sure that if we get the designs completed, the funding would be available to go ahead and construct those pump stations at the appropriate time. And then the third component of this article is to upgrade the radio communications at all the sewer pump stations, as well as all the pump stations on our municipal water system. The company that manufactures the radio communications equipment that we have in those pump stations has discontinued the production of the particular radio that we have. And so we need to upgrade those radios so that we can communicate with all those various pump stations on a real-time basis. We've incorporated funding into the wastewater project to upgrade the radios in the number of pump stations that are currently under construction, but obviously we need to go back and retrofit all the existing pump stations for the sewer system as well as the water system with new technology, with the newer technology that's now available. And so we need funding to accomplish that. So those are the 3 main components of this article. It will require a debt exclusion ballot question as well at the town election. The select board voted 5-0-0 to recommend this article. And the finance committee has also recommended approval of this article on an 8-0 vote. The vote at town meeting will be required to be a 2/3 vote because of the fact that it does involve borrowing. Article 24 is similar in that it is also a capital borrowing article, this time directed to stormwater projects. The article is for $4.5 million. And it basically includes a variety of stormwater projects at various locations in town, which I will briefly describe for you. We've included this article as a omnibus article, if you will, covering a number of projects, because for the first time, DP is now allowing stormwater projects to be funded through the state revolving fund, or the SRF, at low interest. So the town can basically borrow money from the state at low interest, which is currently at 2%. We've used SRF borrowing for pretty much all of the wastewater articles that have been approved over recent years, as well as and also the article that we just talked about, article number 23, has also been submitted to the SRF program for low interest loan funding. So this is the first time this year that the state is approving stormwater articles also under that low interest loan program. So we basically packaged a number of projects together, submitted those to the state, and we have received state listing for the 2022 SRF program for low interest loan funding. So the projects that are included in this article is phase 2 of the Stony Hill Crow Road Stormwater Infrastructure Project. Phase 1 of that project is currently under construction. If you've driven in the Crow Road, Lake Street, Stony Hill Road area, you may have had to detour to get around some of that work. But that work is going on to improve the stormwater infrastructure on Crow Road due to some past flooding issues that have occurred in that area affecting adjacent private property. So we are upgrading the stormwater infrastructure in Kroll Road, along Kroll Road, along Lake Street, and then where it outfalls into the old cranberry bog at the head of Frostfish Creek. And so not only are we putting new infrastructure in the road, but we're also providing new treatment levels to reduce the amount of contaminants that are carried in that stormwater and ultimately get to the old cranberry bog and then ultimately into Frostfish Creek. The second component of this article is Main Street and the town offices project. We have to do some upgrades to the sewer line in Main Street, basically between Cross Street and Chatham Bars Ave. So we're taking the opportunity, because the road is going to be dug up, to also address stormwater. This is all part of the Oyster Pond stormwater assessment that was done back in 1992. And then since that time, we've done a number of other stormwater projects in the Oyster Pond watershed. We did work many years ago regarding the community center parking lot. We've done upgrades to the stormwater infrastructure in Cross Street, in Cedar Street, and in Stage Harbor Road, all of which discharge into Oyster Pond. We also did some work on Main Street a number of years ago, mainly Main Street between Cross Street and the Rotary. So this section between the Rotary to Chatham Bars Ave and the Main Street Town Offices parking lot is really the last major component of that drainage system that ultimately ends up discharging to Oyster Pond, immediately adjacent to the Oyster Pond swimming beach. And so as part of the project here, we will be upgrading the stormwater infrastructure on Main Street, as well as in the town office parking lot. We'll be putting in some rain gardens at town offices to divert roof runoff from going into the drainage system and then have it going into rain gardens, which are basically landscape amenities that are specifically designed to receive stormwater frequently from rooftops, as will be the case here. We'll also be including the sump pumps that are in the basement of the town offices as well. And we'll be providing treatment for this runoff before ultimately it discharges into Oyster Pond. So we'll be doing some infiltration structures along the roads. We'll be putting some new infiltration structures under the parking lot to basically capture as much of that runoff as we can and infiltrate it back into the ground. But there will be emergency overflow capability. So in those real big storm events, ultimately that rainwater will make its way down into Oyster Pond after passing through some treatment options. And then the third component, or a third component of this project, is also dealing with a parking lot, and it's the upper parking lot at the Chatham Fish Pier. Many folks may be aware that a couple of years ago, we upgraded the observation deck at the Fish Pier, and as part of that project, we also installed a new underground fuel system. And the underground fuel tanks are underground in the upper parking lot at the Fish Pier. So we made the decision that before we final paved that parking lot, which was part of the other project, but we made the decision to go ahead and upgrade the stormwater that's captured in that parking lot, as well as stormwater from Shore Road, immediately adjacent to the Fish Pier and to the upper parking lot. Right now, that runoff all enters a closed drainage system and ultimately discharges into Chatham Harbor through the bulkhead at the Fish Pier. So before we go ahead and pave the upper parking lot, we're going to go ahead and install some stormwater infrastructure under the parking lot to capture the majority of the runoff that comes off Shore Road and the parking lot itself, and provide some treatment and leaching of that before, again, we have basically an emergency overflow that would discharge to Chatham Harbor during larger storm events. And then finally, one other project that we added to this article, if anybody has driven Main Street recently in the vicinity of the Eldridge Garage property, there has been a flooding issue there the last couple of years due to some damage that occurred in some of the drainage infrastructure that used to drain that part of Main Street over the embankment towards the wetland at the head of Little Mill Pond. So we've worked with our engineers and identified some fixes to that. And so we've included some funding in this article to also alleviate that flooding problem on Main Street by putting in some drainage infrastructure underground in what will be the new parking area or proposed parking area at the Eldridge Garage property. So all those 4 projects are included as part of this article. The select board voted 5-0-0 to recommend this article. The finance committee recommends approval of this article on an 8-0 vote. And again, because it is a borrowing article and also will be on the town election ballot, this article will require a 2/3 vote at town meeting. And with that, that completes my presentation for today. And next up as a presenter will be Tom Temple, our DPW director.
Hello, Tom Temple, Director of Public Works. This is Article 25 under the water capital in the amount of $500,000. It's for the water main replacements. This is for the replacement of old, unlined, undersized water mains in the portion of the public way. It's important that this improves the quality of water for the customers. It also replaces smaller mains that are located within the right-of-way layout. A lot of these older pipes were made out of lead, steel, copper, which can leach into the ground. So it's important that we replace these pipes. Also, it provides a valuable part to our water distribution system by avoiding leaks down the future for these pipes that are old and antiquated. Select board recommendation was 5-0. Finance committee recommendation was 8-0. Article 26, water capital, training field wells 5 and 8 study in the amount of $75,000. The training field well sites started to show signs of increased level of iron and manganese. As such, we recommend the study occur to determine the course of action, necessity, and the timeline of future construction of a water treatment filter plant before maximum levels of contaminants are reached. Select board recommendation approved 5-0. Finance committee recommendation 8-0. Article 27, water capital, wells 10 and 11, completion and well blending design in the amount of $150,000. In 2010, the design of a new chemical feed building at wells 10 and 11 was approximately 95% complete, and portions of the wells and screen casings were installed. The project was halted due to discovery of contaminants, which have been cleared. A prolonged pumping test was completed in 2018, which indicated that the contaminants were gone and the blending can now occur. This article requires funding for the design and engineering, which would identify the recommended preferred option moving forward. Select board recommendation approved 5-0. Finance committee recommended approval 8-0.
Thank you for watching this segment of our 2021 Annual Town Meeting Preview Show. We look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday, June 12th, starting at noon at Veterans Field. And also, don't forget to vote on Thursday, June 17th. See you soon.